All right, so here we go. We're looking at quadratic formula. We're still going to do quadratic formula. We're going to have something different today. So the quadratic formula, just in case you forgot, is the opposite of b, or negative b, plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4 times a times c, all divided by 2 times the value of a. That is the quadratic formula. How did I tell you to do it? You can do it with turn that negative into a -1 because, well, that's what it is. -1 times whatever b is. Put parentheses around b and square it. 4a times c, all over 2 times a. All I did was remove the letters. So I like starting with the first letter. So that's the 7. That is the a because it is next to a squared. All right? So 7's the a. So that means that the 7 will go here and here. You guys have your reference sheets. You don't need to keep looking up. If you can use your reference sheet, you can get this. If you need a new one, they're back there. So I just replaced the a with the a's. This is day, what is this, day 5? Day 6. So you should have this. The number next to the x is the b. That's -11. So -11, -11. That's the two b parts. And then the last, of course, is c. Guys, remember it's -23. If you forget any of those negatives, it's over. The whole problem's going to come out incorrectly. All right, what are we going to do? Multiply this. -1 times -11 is 11. The plus or minus. Guys, people are just throwing the -11 down here. It's the opposite of -11, 11. -1 times 11. Then you're going to do the part here. -11 squared. By the way, put your parentheses in your calculator just like it is. Parentheses, hit the negative. The negative is up top. Don't hit minus. 1, parentheses squared, and what do we get? Should get 121. Somebody's going to have to help me here. Now we're going to do all this. So in your calculator, you're going to punch -4 times 7 times -23. If you're really good, all you got to do is 4 times 7 times 23 because 2 negatives cancel. What'd you say it was, Rome? 644. Positive 644. Should be positive, 2 negatives. And do the bottom, 2 times 7, 14. Now the only thing that we can do is what's on the inside. Right there. So 121 plus 644. 765. 11 plus or minus all over 14. All right. Now, what I want you to do in your calculator, I'm going to try to get it so you can see it. I know there's a little bit of reflection there. Turn that off. Maybe you can see it better. All right. So you're going to hit your square root. It's hard to see. I think I need the light on. Hit the square root. So it looks like that. Hit 765. Now, this is not going to be a perfect square root. But the great thing about your calculator, the calculator you have here, is it breaks it down for you. 3 square root 85. So you need to come over here, put your 11, your plus, your minus, the 3, and square root of 85. Guys, if you didn't have these calculators, you would have to manually do that. Remember we did, for you that were here at the beginning of the year, we broke these down. Remember we had to get all and find out how many doubles. If we had a 2, then that came out. We did 3, that came out. Yeah, we can do an example of that. But okay, guys. Now, there's only one other thing that you can do here. And that's to see if the 11, take a look at this. If the 11, the 3, and the 14, you can't look at the number on the inside. If all 3 of these numbers are divisible by each other. So 3 is a prime number. Can 3 go to 11? 3, 6, 9, 12. Can it go into 11? Nope, you're done. If one of them can't go into the other one, that's it. So if all these numbers were even, 2 would go into it. We would reduce those, but we don't reduce them. So that's it. You can leave it like this, and I know that yours splits it apart to this. Does it put the plus second, or does it put the plus first on your answer sheet? The plus is first, doesn't matter, but I couldn't remember. For some reason, I thought it came backwards. This and this are the same thing. Do you know that? Because there's the plus and minus there. I'm not going to make you rewrite this and do this. This is fine. Does everybody see that? As long as you have the plus and the minus in there, this is perfectly fine. All right? We good? I don't need you to do this. But I do need you to understand, and I'm going to rewrite it because I want you to understand that this is probably how you're going to see it on an exam. All right? Because that's just how the answers break apart. It's two different answers, but you know that. Because how many times have we done this already? 5 days, right? You know that they break apart. All right, good. Let's look at this one. So I am not going to write the formula. I'm just going to break it apart. So remember, there is a 1 in front of here, and that is the A. So I'm going to go to my A, which is right here and right here. Okay, and then I'm going to go to my B, which is right here. It's an ugly B, but it's a B. So B's are the first one and the second one. And I put the 10. And then the last one, the C, the one without a variable, goes there. So I'm going to do this part, the inside part, this part, and this part. So -1 times 10. We want to make sure we multiply. -10. Use your calculator, Chris. 10 squared. 100. -4 times 1 times 13. 52? Yeah, -52. Yeah, I knew it was negative. There's only one negative. And 2 times 1. 2. Then what is the only other thing we can do? We can only do the stuff on the inside. 100 minus 52 is 48. When we enter our 48, no, I got to get that set up perfect so you can see it. So we're going to do the square root of 48 equals 4 square root 3. So I'm going to do -10 plus or minus 4 square root 2, 3. 4 square root 3 over 2. You guys at home, I know there's only one of you really doing it. Leave it there. If you don't have this calculator, I'm fine with you leaving it there. Well, leaving it here. You guys here, because you have a calculator, I want you to break it apart. Now, what about -10, 4, and 2? Do you know? What are they? What kind of numbers? They're even numbers. And every even number can be divided by what? 2. So everything except for this one in the inside, because it needs to remain exactly the same. There's nothing you can do with that radical. That's why we couldn't do it here, guys, or here. That's why the 10 you can't add to the radical, you can't subtract the radical, so you can't divide to the radical. So that radical stays. But we're going to divide every single number on the outside of the radical by 2. What is -10 divided by 2? -5. What is 4 divided by 2? What is 2 divided by 2? 1. Guys, do we need that 1? No, we don't. -5 plus or minus 2 square root 3. That's our answer. And yes, I know on your answer sheet it breaks apart, doesn't it? We don't need the 1. And actually, this is not wrong if you left it here. But this is the answer. It just takes the 1 away. Because anything divided by 1 is itself. 10 divided by 1 is 10. 5,000 divided by 1 is 5,000. X divided by 1 is X, okay? So, if these numbers can be broken down. Now, guys, if they're all even, I'm going to expect that you break this down. If they're not and you can't figure it out, look at your answer sheet, try to figure it out. You're going to know it's going to be reduced because your answer sheet's not going to match this, right? Because this is your answer sheet, right? Correct? Yes. This isn't, so you know it can be reduced by something. So all we did is divide the outsides by 2 because they were all even, and that's it. 1 and 2 are prime numbers, so is 5. We can't break them down anymore. Okay? Let's get you another example. All right, once again, quadratic formula, negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared times 4 times a times c, all divided by 2 times a. All right, the x squared is always the a value. So the a value is here, that's 5, and down here. Next to the 4 and the 5, those are the a values. The b value is next to the x, it's negative 11, that's the first one and the second one. And the c value is negative 2. Please remember to take your minuses as negatives. If you don't, it's all going to be wrong. And then we just do our 4 things that we can do right now. So negative 1 times negative 11 is 11, plus or minus the square root. Negative 11 squared. I want everybody to do that on a calculator to make sure they can get this right. You need to put parenthesis negative 11, parenthesis 2. Let's go on your calculators quickly. I want to see it. Will this number ever turn out to be a positive number? What is it? 121. Will it ever be negative 121? No, never. It's squared. It's impossible for it to become a negative number, okay? Any negative times itself, which is a negative times a negative, is a positive, all right? Negative 4 times 5 is negative 20 times negative 2 is 40. Correct, thank you, Rome. And 2 times 5, 10. So the only thing we can do next is what? That's right, on the inside, 121 plus 40, 161. We're going to take our calculator. You guys at home, I think you're pretty much done, unless I can get you one of these calculators. I'm working on that. So right here, square root 161 equals 161. Can it be broken down? No, it can't be broken down. I don't know if you can see it up there. I can see it on the computer, but so it cannot be broken down. So guess what? That's the answer. It's over. Nifty, huh? These are a little bit easier, aren't they, actually, because of your calculator. I'm going to show, maybe right after this, you guys can move on, but I'm going to show the guys at home how to break those radicals down. So this is the A, this is the B, this is the C, and I'm going to cheat here, negative 1 times B, which is negative 6, right? Times B squared, which is negative 6 squared. Minus 4 times A and C. Well, A is 1, C is negative 11. All over 2 times A, which is 1. I just went ahead and did it all at once. Not farting with it anymore. So do this part. Negative 1 times negative 6. 6, right? 6 squared, which 6 times 6 is 36. Never, ever will it be a negative number. Negative 4 times 1 is negative 4. Negative 4 times negative 11 is positive 44. 2 times 1 is 2. So we did that. We did all of this. We did that. Now the next thing we can do is on the inside. So we have 6 plus or minus the square root. And 36 plus 44, 80. And take that calculator. Hit square root. 80 equals 4 square root 5. So 6 plus or minus, whoops, 4 square root 5. I did that goofy. Let me rewrite it. 6 plus or minus 4 square root 5 all over 2. Am I done? No. Why am I not done? Well, it's not the answer on your sheet, right? But what about every one of these numbers on the outside? They're not equal. They're even. Now, am I going to touch the square root of 5? No. That's just going to come down, right? But everything else needs to be divided by 2 because they're even. So what's 6 divided by 2? What's 4 divided by 2? What's 2 divided by 2? 1, right? Okay. Do I need the 1? No. 3 plus or minus 2 square root 5. Good enough for an answer. And I'm not going to make you break it apart. I know your answer sheet says to, but you know that there's two answers here, the plus and the minus. So this is the part that some of you are going to get confused on. If they're even, you know it can be divided by 2. Now, if this were 9, 6, and 3, they could all be broken down by 3, right? Even though they're not all even. So get at that. For you guys at home, I'm going to show you how to break these radicals down just so you can remember. If you guys want to see it, that's fine too. Huh? Yeah, go ahead. Use that one over there. It won't bother me as much. 767. Let's do this one. This one's easier. So that's square root of 48. If I were going to break that down, I would have 48, and I would start breaking it down. I could use 2, or I know that it's 4 and 8, and I know 4 goes into it, but if you at home don't, you can break that down into 2. So 48 divided by 2 is 24. Well, 2 is prime. Break down the 24 into 2 and 12. 2 is prime, 2 is prime. Well, actually, before we do that, I know that that is a set, so I put that on the outside. Then I keep breaking it down. 2 and 6, right? 12 divided by 2 times 6 is 12. Well, 2 is prime. 6 can be broken down into 2 and 3. There's another pair. So actually, I'm going to bring that down here. So I have one pair of 2s, second pair of 2s, square root of 3. 2 times 2 is 4. 4 square root of 3. That's how we came out with that number. But here, the calculator does it. We did this at the beginning of the year. We did all that. So I know you know how to do it. That's why I'm not concerned about you doing it now. Anyway, have a good one. Bye.